when it's live. Let me just move this real fast and just. All right, y'all, we're live. Welcome. Hello. This is gonna be the last stream of 2023 to me. So I wanted to come up and look like cute for y'all or whatever. So, but this was a topic suggested by somebody in my Discord, and if we think about it, us being raised in mixed race, us being raised in single parent home does have a different effect on us because it's like, so if you are biracial and you're only raised around your white mom, you're isolated from your white dad, that's going to affect somebody differently than somebody who's like fully white. It's like they're not going to be disconnected from a whole part of their culture, just like if somebody's only raised around one side of themselves. So it does affect us differently. I do want to get into why and how we could change it. How can we be the ones to change the cycle and everything? So yeah, so this was just some statistics. So I did not notice until I was researching this on this topic, but in America, we are the number one for single parent homes. Look, countries with highest percentage of single parent homes is United States, 23% of us. So I'm like, that's so shocking to me, but not really, but it is shocking because it's like that's gonna hit differently. So the US, Black or African, we're usually in this category right here. So this is us, basically. In the poverty rates for Native Americans, African Americans. So that hit home. So we got to really think about, like, within our American culture, we have the highest rate of single parents. So we got to really do something about that, honestly, because let me see. And especially the interracial rates. Look at this. So the divorce rates amongst interracial couples are slightly higher than divorce rates among same. So my parents were married and then they got divorced when I was 10 years old. So my mom is Black and my dad's white. So, but they were married and they got divorced later on. And let's see here. But this is an interesting statistic that I wanted to look at. Typically on the same race notion, overall have less duration. While overall, interracial marriages have less duration than same-race marriages. Some have studied educational factors to come in, but this is what I wanted to. Look, marriages between Black husbands and white wives were twice as likely to divorce in marriages because most biracial people in America have fathers and white mothers, so they're twice as likely to divorce. So we're going to be twice as likely to be in a single-parent home, right? And that's sad, and that's crazy. Yep. Look, between marriages involving white husband and Black wife, statistically less likely to end in divorce than marriages between white husbands and white wife. But overall, they're less likely to last. Interracial marriages are less likely to last. So that's gonna affect us, right? The children of these. So these are disadvantages.
Can I speak on that?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. Why do you think interracial relationships are less likely to last on average?
Cultural differences, educational differences. What do you think? What's your opinion about that? Why don't
Oh,
they last?
the biggest reason factor, especially if it's black and white, is it's the pressure in the relationship from both sides, especially if it's like a white mother and a black father. Uh, the the white mother gets the most racial backlash from the white side than all the sides, like depending on who it is, like
Is
compared
there
to black
social
men on the left.
pressure? You think that?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
well, definitely, and not just that, but people who don't like the relationship, they'll throughout the relationship, they'll do things to try to actually hopefully break up. Like I've
That's
seen like
true.
a white father say, like if you break up, I'll pay for your college, or if you don't, I'm not going to pay for your college, or things like that. Threats to
That's
incentivize them
crazy.
to detach because they don't,
Mm,
you know. And
that's
so
crazy. Yeah,
they
that
call it
is a big factor.
it's called minority stress, where because of that, all those factors, those tensions, or people saying, get out of here, nigger, all those kind of different, it makes it more
Mm,
likely that the stress breaks them up like throughout.
that's stressful. Yeah, that is a big. I didn't think about that. The social pressure that they face, and that is so sad. That's true though, and that's true. And then that leaves us. That affects their children. I don't think they should. If they have children together, do you think that some of them don't care about the social pressure and want to keep their families together for the children? But people give into the social pressure, and then we're left like with broken homes, right?
Well,
So it was a
comparatively,
big
other families don't have that problem. Other families don't have those
they
stressors that are
don't,
there in
they
their
really
interracial
don't.
relationship. And of course, there's some on the white men and the black woman, but it's just that the white man
Yes.
usually doesn't get as much as the white woman because he's kind of like the man, right? It's usually the men that give the
I
woman
don't
pressure.
know. I don't even know. Yeah, because look, for my case, right? So my dad's white, my mom's black. I know that my grandmother didn't approve of interracial marriages, right? So my white grandma, but supposedly she came around because I knew my grandmother and stuff. So I never felt like she didn't accept me or anything like that. I've never felt that from my white side, that they didn't accept me or anything like that. And on my black side, I know that there was a lot of like because we would drive from California to Georgia, and when we'd be there for the summer, and I know that it would be like, oh, why you with this white man? What's this why you bringing home this white man? It was like kind of like that type of thing. But I don't think she ever cared. Like I don't think she ever cared. So they ended up
Well,
divorcing because my dad had like mental health issues, and he had like mental health issues really bad, and so my mom didn't like that. Like where we were living at the time, it wasn't legal to smoke weed, and then they divorced over like her not wanting him to smoke weed because he had mental health issues, like over something like that. It didn't have nothing to do with like anything else. It was just like there's so many issues that could cause people to lead to divorce and stuff. But my over with my parents, it was over like mental health issues and stuff like that. So that's what went on in my household. I don't know. That's my personal experience, but it did have a big
I,
effect on me. So my dad left when I was 10, right? And then my life went downhill after that, honestly. Like not having a father in the home versus having a father in the home is such a big difference. Like I just know that, it's such a big difference. And it's yeah, but go ahead. What you think?
I'm speaking specifically to interracial relationships. The explanation is more
Mhm.
like is a matter of power and difference, right? Where the black men and black women don't have as much power to enforce that the black person doesn't date, whereas on the white side, the white men have a lot more power to enforce on the women that they don't date. Well, you just think of all the different kind of
Mm.
slurs they're called. Think of it like you have like you have what is it sorry, it's one shark like mud shark or like all the
Oh,
different kind
shark.
of like I know my
Shark.
mom used to be called nigger lover. I used to hear that all the time, like when I was a kid by my
Oh
uncles.
yeah,
So
that's
all the
what's
uncles, all
up.
my like I had like 10 aunts and uncles, and all they would put pressure. They would call her names, and they would call her.
That's
She got robbed.
crazy.
Remember,
Now
she
they
was
got
with
like
us, and
bed
she got
wenches.
robbed.
I remember somebody went on my IG called my mom like a bed wench or something, and I was like, hold on, do I have feedback? Oh, let me fix that. Hold on. Oh, I do have it on my other. My bad. Let me fix that. Okay. But yeah, like now there's like bed wenches but people never
Yeah,
take into consideration how this has affected children. If you guys are sitting here trying to shame people for being together and then they break up and then the children are just left, with a broken home, and how does that affect the kids? Like how did so what was your situation like? Did they stay together? Like it's very rare. I never really see interracial couples really stay together like that. It's usually they usually I mean nobody's really getting like in the United States and in North America in the Western people the marriage rates have declined
yeah.
significantly, and on top of that interracial couples they have their own significant struggles and challenges that affect them differently. So that's pressure on top of pressure on top of pressure. So it's like who really staying together nowadays, you know what I'm saying? Like, and how does it look at the effects of us? Like this is what I don't know. I try to look up the Pacific statistic of like what percent of like biracial children are in single parent homes, but I've heard that, I don't know if this is true or not, I don't know, but I've heard the statistic thrown around. It's like 78% or something like that. I don't know, it's a high rate. It's a very
Well,
very very
what's relevant is more that it's more than everybody else. I think that's the most relevant
it's more than everybody else,
factor.
exactly. This issue affects us like significantly. So yeah, so in the United States leads the world to nearly 10 million single parent homes. 23% of children under age 18 live in single parent homes. What's that mean for us? Less money, less money. So where's our where's our privilege at? If we being born in single parent homes, there's less money involved. So where's the privilege? Not accident isn't even slip into poverty. Lack of quality time, help, and attention. That's what I face, because my mom had to work her ass off, right? And so there's the lack of quality time and attention. Like you're not really there to really be able to raise your kids, especially you got to work your ass off. I see my mom work three different jobs, trying to provide. And I really appreciate it. I love what she did for us, but it did affect me a lot, and I had to work through my shit, and I had to heal from all that, and that's okay. So single parents often have to work multiple jobs. Exactly, that's what happened in my case. And you know what it did too? It led us. have too much like freedom in a way. You know, kids, if you're not being watched by like parents, they're gonna be able to do whatever the fuck they want, and then they're gonna
I
make
had that.
terrible choices.
I had that
So
as
they're
a
gonna
kid.
make horrible choices. So health and behavioral issues, yes, I dealt with a lot of health and behavioral issues. Single parents often do not do a lot on their own, so issues arise the children's health and behavior. There's no extra support. Exactly. Children in single parent homes often feel a sense of loss due to the fact, exactly. I felt that. I definitely felt that. You know, my dad left when he was 10. He visited me one time when he came back. I was like 14. He visited me one time and then he just died. I never got to see him again until he died last year. So he was kind of pretty much non-existent in my life. Basically, future issues. Children of single parents are more likely to have issues that continue to affect their lives, such as educational attainment and occupational status. Not always the case for growing up. Yep. So there's that, right? And then I want to talk about like the foster care system too, right? And how
Can I
like
give you some advice? Just quick advice.
yeah.
Like maybe like read one of those and then let us talk about it a little bit, and then the next one let us talk about it because
All right,
those
let's
are
talk
all
about this.
different, just different things we can talk about, right?
Okay, let's talk about the disadvantages of us
So,
being raised in single parent homes. What you think about that?
well, I mean, let's start like with less money. Let's think about like, well, I had wanted to add in another important factor in regard to interrelational relationship, and it had to do with the power imbalance. The idea is that well, white men tend to have more power to enforce, to put more pressure, which causes that to break up, and that's important if we're talking about preventing it. We're trying to talk about what causes it, how to prevent it, how to maybe to what kind of advice we might want to give to interracial parents in the future about their kids, right?
Exactly. Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Start with less money. Single parents often earn less money. I mean, that's obvious, right? You have less two people, so
Yes.
that's an
Right.
obvious one. Quality time help,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But one of the things it
Behavioral.
doesn't mention here is like well, gender. I'm sure gender matters too. Which parent is it that's single? Like which
It's usually a single mother, right? My mom was
you
a single mother working
usually.
jobs, made it happen. Did somebody say foster? Hold on. Foster care, yes.
We are
But yeah, my
disproportionately
mom
represented in foster care. Mulattoes.
exactly. Exactly. Disproportionately represented. So that's the issue too. I mean, that's why we need to come together. We need to put the bullshit aside. I don't care about this petty shit. Like I've heard people saying, we need to start um advocating for these children in foster care as well, of course, and having programs because there's programs for black children that don't have fathers, right? I've heard there's like mentoring programs and stuff. So what about why don't we have mentoring programs and stuff for biracial children? Because a black person is not really going to be able to relate to the experience fully, right? So it's like we should start like mentoring programs or something for these types for biracial children. But first we got to be recognized and seen that hey, we have specific needs, right? But I think that something that's very important. We do need some type of we need to step up. Like we need to step up. We're the grown folks. We're the new generation. We're the people in power, and we do need to step up and do better. Me included. I need to work within my own community and really, really care. Like, who's gonna care about these children like that? Like, seriously. So, it makes me sad. It really does. It makes me really sad. But yeah, it did. This did have a big effect on my life, though. Really, because I remember in my early 20s, I used to be so mad and angry. But here's something I want to talk about real fast. We don't ever have this mindset. We can't sit here and blame our parents for anything. You know what I'm saying? Because I see a lot of things like within like I do see this a lot within the black community. A lot of people like to blame all their problems and issues, like, oh, this everything wrong happened because single parents. Because I know family is a very important structure, of course. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like we can't ever sit here and make a cop out and be like, oh, I was a failure in my life because of single parent. My mom was nobody. We never do that. Like I don't see any of us ever trying to blame our parents or anything because most of us do come from single parent homes. But we don't ever try to blame our parent for why we're not successful or why we can't ever really pull that victim sympathy card of oh woe is me, I had this terrible upbringing or nothing like that. Like we don't ever really do that too often. Like I was
Well,
talking to my husband. Oh, let me say this one real fast. But I was talking to my husband. He was raised in foster care, right? He had a black mom, white dad like me. He was raised in foster care, and I was like, ask him. I was like, oh, how was that like? And I was like, how did that affect you? And he was like, oh, it only affects you if you let it affect you. He's like, I'm not gonna let that affect me. I'm just gonna keep it moving. Like he don't really think he's not sitting here like, oh, woe is me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So what you think? What you think?
I think it's hard to compare. Like, I think it's really hard to compare when you haven't had another experience. Like, some people will, even today when people talk about, like, when I look back, I can easily measure that there's lots of things I went through that other people didn't have to go through, especially in regards to racism. I almost forgot, and the reason why I forgot is just because it's like, well, I didn't have anything else to compare it, so it's like not like I can compare what it's like to be in another situation since that was the only situation. But another important point here is the gender dynamics, right? I don't know how much it affects each kid equally. Like, it might affect the male more if the father's not there, for example. I know there's a
You know what?
serious correlation between crime rates and fathers not being in the home. It's serious. Yeah.
I was thinking about that too. I think it affects women. Okay, look, because I was thinking about the whole Brittany Renner situation, right? Sarah, look, I'm gonna share this tab. She had her father and her my mom, like they did her dirty in this whole interview stuff. But let me
It,
show you.
it
She
could be
was
different.
saying
Like, what I
how
mean is they might be affected differently.
I do think, like, as a woman and you not having your father around, it's gonna make you more vulnerable. So like there's this whole and men are gonna take advantage of women. It's very well known that men, prey after young women that don't have fathers to protect them and that they, tell them everything they want to hear. Like they never really had that like so that's something that does affect biracial women a lot, definitely, for sure. And then look, you got people like Brittany Rayner, where she didn't have no type of fatherly guidance. Like she was out here doing crazy reckless stuff and thinking that's the way to go about it, and it's just a bad look. I don't know because people say men raised in like single parent homes without a father, they're more likely to go to prison and they're more likely to end up in crime and end up in gangs and stuff like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Do you think I don't know about the crime statistics when it comes to like biracial men. I don't know, but
It's
from personal experience, I don't think they really
in
do
all races.
get
It's
caught
in
up.
all races. In all races, there's a high correlation between crime rates and no father. Okay, the father in the house,
Exactly.
he acts as the kind of like the, I guess he's the enforcer. He's the stabilizer. He's the one you can't knockout kind of thing, right? Whereas, when you're a kid, you're a boy. Well, by the time you're about 10, 11, or 12, you might start being stronger than your mother, and you start to realize that, right? And then it becomes really
Yeah.
hard for your mother to really instill anything because you're not really afraid. There's nothing they can really, I mean, I guess you have to fear that there's cops or somebody might call it cops, but the father's that he like, there's like that one person he can't go over, like, right? He's always going to kind of set the law, so you can't, and that maybe early on sets them up to, following rules a little bit, or not always trying to steal or break laws, or because they've had that father to kind of, what's the word? Discipline them.
I mean,
Yeah, the discipline.
I think
There's
a
the
little bit of
discipline
both,
element.
yeah. Because I wanted both of my parents.
she was
Gotcha.
raised by her
And, there's
grandparents.
a quote.
Let me see what she said. Hold on, it was right here. Why my internet don't want to
One of
work?
the
Hold on.
negative things in my relationship is that my mother often later in life would I would only kind of see my father for discipline, like when I did something wrong, and I think it developed a negative association.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because my
Just
mother,
adding
yeah,
to
she'd always send
something
me to my
that
father when something happened or something, so it would always be like a negative,
it
and then I
just
would always kind of,
makes you feel like anything traumatic. But I will say that you just kind of learn more to dance with those skeletons, like along your journey.
No,
So
I don't know.
I think a little bit of both, yeah. Because I wanted both of my parents.
Gotcha. And there's a quote that I found that it seems like you said, and I'm not sure where exactly it came from. And I guess your mom is
This whole
sitting right here
Brittany
next to
Renner
you right now. So
situation
this is going to be
is
a
a mess.
little uncomfortable. But
It's a
there's a
mess,
quote
and it's like
that
I do
said that
think
your
it starts in
mom
the
liked.
home. I do.
She didn't even want to say it. Black dick.
I don't even want to say it because your mother's right there. You
But
know
my
what I'm
mom
talking
read
about,
the
though,
book.
right?
We've had several, like, you got to understand about my family. So my family is very supportive of who I am.
And that's a whole
My mom
other
read
level.
my
The whole
book, and she was like,
fetishization
I didn't know you
thing.
felt that way.
See, that's a whole other level. I don't even know how. Oh my god, people just hooking up out of the whole like fetishization thing, and they're just looking at it as a sexual thing. They're not really caring about like trying to start a family and actually like, oh, I'm gonna take care of these. It's just like a fetishization, and oh my god, that's a whole other level. I mean, I don't really think that affects other race because you can't really fetishize somebody in your same race, can you? Does
well,
that only affect
it
people?
technically shouldn't make sense. It's used when it's well, it's your own race. You're supposed to kind of be attracted. I guess they call it a fetish because it's, well, why are you choosing something else than your own? There must be something else. There must be some kind of, it must be a fetish if there's a reason. I mean, that concept, it's very tricky. Like, you've got to be careful with that. Remember that there is a certain stereotype with mulatto woman, and that stereotype will also affect the way the men will perceive them, if they're worth marrying or if they're just for sex, right? Because we have this stereotype on like this Doja Cat, and they have sex like men. Well, they're going to be seen as that. They're going to be seen as for
That's
sex.
how all of them are seen. I mean, it's not just biracial women. I think this whole culture of
Well,
like
women in that kind of in that kind of like light, like if they're doing that kind of work, like that kind of like entertainment, will probably be seen like that. But what were you
the
saying?
entertainment world. Yeah, but I'm talking about like everyday regular people, right? It's like, between this is something that affects, biracial women, I think a lot. Between us having single parent homes most of the time means the lack of fathers, right? Lack of father, and then plus you see all these biracial light skinned women in all these music videos like promoting hypersexuality. So you're thinking, oh, I'm only valued because of my sexuality, right? So that's something that is very much that's how the world influences your mind,
And
right?
the image of it, like if you look at this,
Image,
yeah,
that's
the
our
image, like
image. Yes, that's her image. You don't see a bunch of images. I mean, I like Aisha Curry, and then
yeah, she's like the best one. Yeah, she's like the perfect of all of them.
Aisha Curry, Aisha Curry. I didn't see that growing up, though. Obviously, I didn't really see Aisha Curry and Alicia Keys, right? But she's labeled a home record as well. But at least she's married and has a family. But
Besides
those
that, they're
two
good.
women
Yeah, good role models.
versus like a whole million trillion women that are just just stripping butt naked and just being hypersexualized. And then you got Brittany Renner over here. She's talking about I regret all of this. Like she was promoting these lifestyles to these women leads to many tragic. Yes, exactly. I agree with you, Becky. But you got these type of women that were promoting this type of lifestyle to these other women, and then they're just all misleading other women because it's like most women want children and families. If we're gonna be real here, that's what we want, right? If we not all women, there's nothing
Well,
wrong with
people
not wanting
do.
that.
If they're stuck in a certain condition, they'll cope and they'll make up an excuse of why you should do it, and they'll try to get other people on board so they makes them feel better about themselves. They don't feel like they're the only ones kind of doing that, and they'll try to.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, it's like there's so much against like it's not just promoted. It's not promoted. And on the men's side, men think like, having having a family is like people. Let's talk about Andrew Tate. Let's talk about Andrew Tate because he's promoting the idea that having a regular family is boring, and if you're a lesser man, if you're loyal to a woman or something, like he's not promoting family shit on his end either. You know what I'm saying? It's like this. He's
Well,
supposed to be
I
like
think he's traditional, but he's just polyamorous. He doesn't. Yeah, he's polyamorous.
and he's just polyamorous, but that he's trying to promote that lifestyle to men. Like, oh, you're gonna be a top dog, you want to be a G, then you gotta have 20 women. You're gonna feel. He's promoting. He said that I was like, wow. He said that. Oh, he was like, oh, he's basically thinking having 20 different baby mamas, that's cool. And that's what makes him feel like a man. That's what makes men feel like men if they have like 20 different baby mamas. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, why would you promote that to men? Like, how does that affect the child? He doesn't have any kids, right?
Is that what
So
he's
he
saying, or is he saying like in a kind of Eddie Murphy kind of way, where Eddie Murphy has like he has like he's had quite a few wives, but they're all taken care of. Like they're all everything is paid for. Like all of them are taken care of and paid for.
I hope
Well,
so. I hope
well, I'm
so,
saying, what is he?
but
Because because I just I don't I mean I never heard him say this, but I don't see him promoting just baby mamas,
I'll
just going
bring it
around
up.
just baby mama. I just don't see him saying that. It's pretty
I'll show you
degenerate.
what I'm talking about. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Nobody's really I don't know, people who are supposed to be representing us on like a large, highly visible scale. It's like they just okay. And then first of all, nobody really did like Andrew Tate and remember that whole thing. It's like none of them are really with another mulatto biracial person, and that's okay. That's fine. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. I don't know. I just want us to focus on breaking the cycle because we know it's bad. We know how it affects us. We know it is. So it's like it's our responsibility to make sure that we're creating like stable homes for the next generation of kids. I don't see it as traditional at all.
And to do that,
But
you need a heteronormative culture which reinforces those values.
exactly. And I think that that's very important. I think that's super important for us, because it affects us the most. So, like, I like what you say about us becoming our own parents. You know what I'm saying? I think that's super important because there's so many issues with like interracial couples and interracial things, and that we can't control, so we do.
And it takes us a while to come into our own mulatto identity. It takes us a while to separate. Like we still kind of, we got to go through all the confusion, until we finally get to even this point, and then we're older, and it's like too late, kind of thing, right? We don't really have as much time to help out. But when we're our own parents, well, we can instill the values directly into. It's like we're starting off like already when they're already starting off as with their own identity rather than this whole confusion, and they figure out later there's other places to go to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry, I had to go get something for my son. Poly never. Oh, that's something I want to talk about. So let's talk about the whole polyamory versus polygamy, or polygamy, polyamory.
I think it's polygamy.
Whatever.
I meant to say polygamy.
Polygamy versus monogamy. I think there's so many more benefits to if we build a society and build a community, I think that we should be monogamous. Honestly, I think that'd be the best way to go about things.
Yes, that would be, and it would be the most peaceful way, right? What happens in polygamous societies, they tend to cause a lot of war because the men then who don't have anything, then they end up kind of trying to screw up the system because they're left out. However, you have to understand that tradition comes out of a time when there was a lot of war, and men would go fight in the war, and so a lot of men would be killed off, and so there would always be a shortage of men, right? And so it was kind of because there was a shortage of men, it made more sense, of course, that the ones on the top would tend to have more, and that also helped because those people at the top tend to have better genes overall, and then so the ones who were at the really top, they would reproduce more than the ones on the bottom, therefore causing evolution of the population every generation, right? There has to be a little bit in a way. The men who are a little smarter and a little stronger have to reproduce more. If they don't, if they're all reproduce equally, then it won't change. It won't go up or down. There has to be certain, right? Evolution works in terms of the fitter being getting a little more reward in reproduction. What you're getting to right now in the Black community is the opposite. You're getting the people who are not fit. You're getting like the guys on the bottom who are able to be completely irresponsible and have 20 kids, and then they all survive because the government holds them up, so they all live, and instead of where historically they would have died off, right? And the ones who are smart and only have enough kids that they can afford, they're reproducing less, and then what happens is every generation the population is getting worse.
Oh, I agree. I agree. But okay, is anybody else trying to say anything? I'm not trying to overtalk, or anybody's welcome to speak whenever they want to. Anybody else got anything to say? George or Jose?
Yeah, it was actually going back in regards to girls without their fathers. So they're a lot more likely to. Wait, what's up?
I said, yeah, go ahead and speak on that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's just they're a lot more likely to choose very unhealthy partners and develop like the worst cases of daddy issues. Because I'm not going to give out any names, but I've already known of some girls, like specifically mulatto girls, who didn't really grow up with their Black fathers. But a lot of them ended up getting with gang member types, or just men who were very abusive, or just men who were still mentally 14 years old and just getting themselves involved in unhealthy dynamics. But it just doesn't really just extend to maybe women who are of our mix. That practically extends to just about every woman, since like fatherlessness is actually going up in all groups, like because like we already know like the illegitimacy rate or fatherlessness is pretty high in the Black community though, but already now like 1/3 of white kids don't even have their fathers around, and we can actually see plenty of like white girls getting with like the wrong elements. So it is starting to become like a common occurrence in the US, and that's also why you see us like sinking into like a sea of decadence.
It's trash.
So yeah, so like just like that, the decline in like traditional marriage is also why you're seeing a lot of like the social decay, and also like a lot of like decadent elements too.
And the traditions that reinforce it were in the family, so they don't even have the family where the tradition to reinforce it exists anymore, right? That's
correct.
It was mostly women. Like women would go to work, and it was women who predominantly who pass on the culture, right, to the next generation. Mm-hmm. But kind of since feminism, a lot of them they work now, right, and so they're not actually raising their kids. Like their kids are now, it's the government that's raising them, right? So it's there's like less of a personal attachment to their own kids because all the information has come from some other people that are putting it in, and you end up with your kid with 20, you don't even recognize them anymore. They hate you.
Yeah, like it did that though, and also it's gonna. Exactly. Then I was also going to I was just going to like quickly like throw in like a historical fact there, Magic. So like in the early 20th century, like Black men were actually marrying and actually having stable families at even slightly higher rates than than white men, and that very much continued on up until like 1965. It's also why like during that time of the century, why you saw like the black family unit very fruitful and very successful. If things could actually go back to that dynamic for all groups, then you wouldn't actually see all like the decadence and a lot of the stuff that we are talking about today. It wouldn't even be a topic if we were to revert back to those times in terms of heteronormativity and traditional marriage.
All right, let's talk
What's the
about
major
your
change
favorite topic.
that has happened that you think might affect
Your favorite
the
topic.
single fathers?
I'm
I'll say
sorry,
it.
but
Let's
two people are talking at once, so
Okay, yeah,
like,
sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let me say something. Jose, do you have anything to say before we go ahead?
Yeah, I didn't. For a minute, I thought I wasn't going to be able to express anything, any point of view at all. But when it comes to, when it comes to this issue, I mean, one thing that people will tend to think that the reason why there's single parents is because of the poor vetting process. I think that's just looking at things superficially. There are many factors for that situation to exist. Unfortunately, in many circles, it is frowned upon uh, for people to date outside of their phenotypes. Okay, and it's a shame that here we are, we're almost in 2023, and we're still dealing with a great deal of bigotry. And and unfortunately, this country has a long history of not dealing with people who are different very well. I mean, a perfect example of this is the mulattoes. You know, there's unfortunately there's a lot of negative connotations and the negative, um, feeling towards it. I mean, the bottom line is that the mulattoes are trying to find their own identity, and there are many factors why single parents exist.
Oh yeah, you know what? I definitely agree. I don't think that single parents should deserve any disrespect or any hate or anything, but I don't think it's an ideal situation for any woman, especially for a woman. No woman wants to be a single parent, you know. All women, they want to have a good man by their side that's helping to raise the children. It's just easier for the women, it's easier for the child. So it's just not, and I just don't want to see women put in those situations. Of course, they got to take accountability for who they choose and who they choose to be with. That's very important, but I just definitely want us, you know, especially us as biracial women, who is targeted a lot most of the time to be like who not targeted, but like the Futures and the Nick Cannons, who are they going for? They're going for biracial mixed women, impregnating them, and all of them are becoming single parents. And we could say, oh, that's. I don't think it's healthy or okay for, because yeah, they're rich, but this happens with men that are not rich as well, and then there's no benefit to the women. You're not getting the protection of a man. You're not getting any money. Like just like Brittany Renner, she ain't really getting no money. She's getting like $2,000 a month. What? That's she's from NBA. Like she's not getting no money,
She
no
wasn't married.
protection. She's yeah. So I just don't think it's an ideal situation, and yeah, I would never disrespect or put down or feel like anybody's better than. I don't like that either. The whole like women who feel like they're better because they're married versus. I don't like that. I don't like doing that either. I'll never. But I do just want us to do better in America. We're the highest rate of single parents in the whole world. So do you think that's helping us or hurting us? That's hurting us a lot, especially our community. So we definitely need to, because we are a higher rate to be raised in single parent homes more than anybody. It's gonna affect us, our community, the most. So we definitely need to try to better. Like we can only take responsibility for ourselves. We can't help what happens to us. We don't choose what type of family we're born into or nothing. Okay, we just gotta play with the cards we're dealt. We can't sit here and play the victim or sit here and be mad. We gotta heal, move on, and do better for the next generation. That's all we can do, really. That's all we can really hope for and do at the end of the day. And I definitely want to let's talk about. I do want to talk about the whole feminism thing because people like to blame feminism for why there's a lot of so. What do you? So my opinion about feminism, honestly, here let's talk about feminism. So here's my thing. Here's how I view it. So feminism, I know it happened for a reason. I think that when any group, whether it be a man or a woman or this
That's
group or this
broad.
group, when
That's
they have
broad.
no,
You talk
listen,
about all
listen, hear me
feminism
out.
all together. That's a whole panel.
I'm talking about all together. I'm talking about all together. I don't really know about the third, fourth, fifth wave. Like I'm not really, but I'm just saying my opinion about how I view it. So I'm just saying, here's what it boils down to for me. I feel like when any group has too much power over another group, they always abuse it. Just like you see how a lot of women they have too much power in the court situations when it comes to men and not having to, they abuse that power. So I feel like it's there needs to be checks and balances. It's just like if men have too much power over women, they're gonna abuse it, and so that's why there was like the whole feminism movements and stuff in the beginning. So, but I know that there's like a lot of men's rights groups and stuff because women are abusing their power against men, and that's the issue. It's just people abusing. No matter what group that has too much power over another group, they're gonna abuse it. Period. That's what always happens. No matter, and so that's what I think. What happened. So, what do you
I
think about
think
that?
Excuse
I
me.
think gender is different than when we talk about groups like race and stuff. Like it's a bit different. Like when we talk about race, because like they have both genders in that race, and I find when it comes to gender, it's a little different because you are in a sense you're sharing a child, and there's like, I mean, it's obvious the parts are meant to be together. Like obviously the penis is meant to go to the vagina, right? There's the whole purpose of there being sexes is to sexually reproduce, and so there's a different kind of almost like interdependence between them, which is very different than the other situations. But I don't like the way that they kind of take the race model and it kind of gets just flipped, and they just kind of take the race model and flip women with black or and men with white. We'll talk about it another time. It's complicated. That's why I don't want to go into too deep. But yeah,
So
that's all
I
I'm
just
saying.
want to talk about. Do you think that feminism is? Oh, go ahead, Jose.
Okay, first of all, when it comes to feminism, I think we have to make a distinction to what was the original form of feminism
That's what
and
I'm
what
talking about.
feminism, okay, what it evolved today. Because the fact of the matter is, at one point, women could not own property, women could not discipline their children. Okay, and as far back as the 70s, okay, even if they didn't feel like it, they were obligated to engage in sexual activity with their spouses. So, and of course, women did not have the right to vote. So through the course of time, women were granted those privileges. However, what happened today is that some people has equated feminism as being superior to men, and
That's what I don't think we should
and
be acting like superior. Or men should. I don't like the whole superiority. I think that always ends up people abusing their power. If this group feels like they're superior, or this group, they're gonna treat them. They're gonna dehumanize them, treat them like trash, treat them like whatever. They don't matter. They don't matter. So that's why I'm like, I don't think women need to be doing that to men. I don't think men need to be doing that to women. I don't think white people need to be doing that. But it is like I do kind of. I don't think nobody needs to be doing that to anybody. So that's why I'm just like, it's not healthy. The first wave feminism is
Can I,
fine, but the feminism started. Go ahead.
can I say something? Yeah, what Jose said was a bunch of bullshit. It's feminism. What you're getting the feminist version of their own, right? You remember you're getting their own interpretation of history. When you look back into history, there was always hate around, of course. There's a lot of people there who are doing it for good reasons, but it's just by nature of the first people are going to, just like when it comes to, let's say, I don't know, black crime, the first people that are going to jump on that are going to be the racists, right? The first people that are going to jump on women's rights, they're going to be the ones that don't like the men. It's just naturally the people who are going to have the most interest in doing that are naturally going to gravitate to those positions. And so secondly, it's never been clear. Okay, it's never been. It's always kind of been all over the place. It used to just be women's rights. Even the idea of kind of being about equality is a little more modern. So that's like a redefinition they've made after the fact to kind of keep power. But before it was just like, it was just rights for women or whatever.
So,
excuse me,
The
my
demographics of women back then, like if you look at the demographics of women, it's not hard to see. You can just look at old clips and you'll see that it's number one, it's never been a majority of women. It's never been a majority. It's never been that the majority of women were feminists. It's always been a minority. But when you look at the history, it's spoken as if it was all women, or just it's more general than it is. We'll have like some protest in like one city. It sounds like it was across the world. And I was like, no, it was just like, small demonstration in one city somewhere. Yeah, but
I think
there's always been both. Of course, there's always been people who had their good, but there's always been an underlying kind of, if you look back at the actual
guys think-
times.
do you guys
Excuse
think-
me,
Go ahead.
Magic. If I can respond, first of all,
Yeah.
it is not BS. It was fact. Women were
That's
not
not fact.
allowed to. Okay,
That's
Victor,
not what- I'm not saying those
I
are
know
not
you
facts.
have a
I'm not saying that
problem.
those are not facts.
I know you have a problem with other people expressing views that are different from you. Okay.
No.
But
It's about
I allow
correctness.
you the opportunity to speak freely. I would appreciate it that you grant me the same courtesy.
Okay, you were finished, and then I was.
Okay. Well, I was just trying to respond when you cut me off.
When I started talking, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Y'all, let's not do this. Anyways.
no. Well, you
anyways,
see, if this is gonna happen, I'm going to respond. Okay, it is that simple.
Oh my god, I'm gonna kick everybody off the panel. I'm gonna kick it. Y'all just come on. Let's just have some respect for each other and just not do this. Come on, you don't have to. Say
Yes, I would appreciate if hybrid actually show some respect.
Have some respect. We just trying to stay focused on the topics. Okay. Anyways, so do you guys think that feminism is what led to? Because I know, okay, the whole sexual revolution, right? There was like women's rights, like
I wrote about that in the text.
Sexual revolution. And do you guys think that that's why we have such a high single parent rate? Because it's just common sense. If you're just gonna be out here fucking anybody and anything, that's gonna lead to a lot of kids that don't really have a family. So, what do y'all think about that? How do we combat that?
That's one fact.
It's like it kind of goes back to kind of like how like if a woman who kind of fell for the sexual revolution scene in the 60s.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff was sponsored by like the new waves of feminism. But the thing is that by the time they're really partaking in their promiscuous lifestyles, they end up sexually jaded way before they even turn 30 years old. And so if you're in that state of mind, then how are you going to have a fruitful marriage that we are always trying to strive for all of our people,
Right.
So, as far as first wave, like feminism goes, as far as like appreciating those like Amelia Earhart, if anybody knows who she is, yeah, I'm cool with that. But just from the 1960s and onward, I call BS.
Well, how do we combat that today?
There's a way to do that. Is that you also have to play a central role in changing the culture, because you can see how very socially accepting the current culture is of like the debaucherous behaviors that we see around us, or like in other words, like the quote unquote slut marches that we see even taking place in LA, which I happen to live 4 hours away from. That stuff still goes on around downtown LA. We actually have to, it is totally fine to like partake in like a healthy level of shaming, not to where like we're being destructively critical, but being very constructively critical of such debaucherous like behavior that our culture is accepting of. So if we can all play that central role in just saying stuff like, hey, we're going to change the culture, and our culture revolves around heteronormativity and traditional marriage values, or in other words, being kind of like the black men of the early 20th centuries, in which they, like I said, marry at a slightly higher rate than white men, and we can see how much just happiness and stability that came with that, then we will actually be able to combat the issue that we are addressing. So that's one way to do it. Change the culture, and so many things conducive to the stuff that we want will come to fruition.
Can I explain something?
Go for it.
The number one way to change the culture, the reason why we lost the culture, we lost the traditions, has to do with not raising our own kids anymore, right? It's by having the kids now being raised by the government instead of the mothers, that's where the culture no longer is transitioning from generation to generation. Now the government puts in what they want, whoever is in the schools, whoever, it becomes what they want, their values. And those, of course, are disproportionately liberal, and therefore they're contradictory to heteronormative family values by definition.
Yes. Like, are you familiar with?
And so that's how feminism does affect, because it took women away from their own kids, and now the government's raising them, so they no longer are passing on the tradition. So the culture falls apart that way. But another one also does have to do with welfare. That's a huge difference. When the welfare state it really changed. It really increased the single mother
Well, you were just
parenthood as
thinking what
well.
I was just thinking too, because I was getting ready to ask Hybrid, have you ever heard of Thomas Sowell? Because in a lot
Yeah.
of his books,
Oh,
like
Yep.
yeah.
Basic Economics, he talks heavily about how prior to 1965, there was no welfare state, and that
Exactly.
actually the Black community was actually at its peak in terms of economic achievement.
Because
But
they didn't
as
have a
soon as the
choice
welfare state
but
came
to get out
in,
there and work. That's why they didn't
yeah,
have an
all right,
option. Go for it.
all right,
Sorry.
yeah, we're thinking very much alike. And so, never mind, you pretty much said what I was just getting ready to say as far as the welfare state goes.
Yeah, when you take
But yeah,
away that option from them that they can kind of sit if they don't want to work, your whole brain, the way you think is different. I think that's even has to do with marriages too. Like I remember before, the option of being a divorce wasn't even there. And even though you probably could really fight for it, you can get it. But the fact that it's not even an option means that from the beginning, from day one, you have to make it work. You know that you can't get out, so you have to make it work. And now that there's just having that little psychological difference that there is that you put that much less work in. Oh well, I'll just get a divorce and get the way that we think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
And
then
similar with the welfare story and the black men
yeah.
being in.
So like
Mhm.
for instance, like magic though, like do you remember like the infamous Lyndon B. Johnson quote from 1965 when he introduced his war on poverty policies, and he literally said, he said, quote unquote, I'll let those N words vote Democratic for the next 200 years. Well, he basically like foresaw everything that would happen though, because he was going to reinstitute that welfare state, and look at where it's gotten these people to today, along with just everybody across the racial spectrum.
I agree. Look. Here's where I think. This is what I think. There are certain things about this culture. If we're gonna build our own culture, we're gonna build our own communities, our own spaces. There's certain things that we have to reject that are not healthy for anybody. Like things like that. The hypersexuality and like the sexual. I just like this whole Brittany Renner situation. I think that should be a wake up call, especially for biracial women, that this lifestyle is not good for us. It's not healthy for us. It doesn't. She's just left full of regrets, and it's just we have to reject anything that's promoting our destruction. We have to reject. Okay,
Women
it's
sleeping around is heavily promoted by feminism because they don't like the idea of a woman being attached to a man. The idea is if they have many partners, they won't have as much of a stable, strong relationship with one, right?
yep.
So they'll push the whole,
Exactly.
yeah, just have many men, or like, yeah,
That's
but
bad.
not with a woman, yeah.
It is bad, and I hate to see it because like let's talk about the music aspect. It's very heavily promoted in music to be like whatever we say, like especially rap music, hip hop. That's very 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 promoted. So it's like we have to reject these. We have to reject the hypersexuality. It doesn't do nothing but hurt us, hurt our children, hurt our family, hurt all of us. So it's like we can't have we got to change our mindset. We got to reject certain parts of the culture. If we're coming together and building, we got to only accept the best parts of the culture that there's a lot of bad. To me, the feminism that kind of comes from like white women. To me personally, I'm just like I think they kind of started it, and like so that's something that's like from more white culture that we have to reject, right? So that's what I think. And yeah, we just need to. I do respect the whole heteronormativity thing because I think that's the best thing for us. And anything that's keeping us apart and keeping us this whole gender. This is what they want. This is what they want. This is something I agree with Andrew Tate. He's saying, like people want us to keep fighting. People want to keep men and women separated and keep them fighting and keep them against each other. That's something they promote, because
Powers in
you're
the
going to be
family.
more. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. You're not going to be able to come together and be supposed to come together and build a family and build. You're not going to be able to do that. You're going to keep being dependent and keep being dependent on the government.
On the
So
government,
that's
exactly.
yeah. We don't come together
Um,
and build. Yeah, go ahead, Jose.
yeah, I think what is going to take as far as some of these modern women, okay, it's going to take some other women that's going to, be brave enough, to call these women to check and then say, hey, what you've been doing for all this time has not given you the results that you
No, that's
wanted.
not
I
gonna work.
mean, I mean,
Look, all these women that try to do that between Jessica X, who else? Jessica Epps, the Crimson Cure, who was the other one? Pearly Things. They have an all male audience. It's not really women really listening to them like that. What is gonna, to me personally as a woman, what should be women like Brittany Renner coming up and admitting like this is what women don't want to do. Women need to just be real about be like, hey, this is the mistakes I've made. This is the results. Because just 2 years ago, she was promoting the lifestyle to women, right? This is what's best for. This is how you get a bag. This is how you do this, and that misled a lot of women. But now she's coming forth saying, "Hey, this is the result. This did not work out. I regret it all." I think that's what's gonna wake up women. Her being real about, "Hey, this is not working." That's what should be a wake up call to women. Be like, "Hey, you see the results of your actions, and her being real, being a bit. I do respect her for that. I'm like, I'm happy she coming forward and saying, I regret this. Like, this is not good. That's what I hopefully a lot of women will see and be like, okay, what all this stuff that other people are preaching about, just go out here fucking these men for bags and money and not really caring about nothing. It's not working, boo. Like her result, she get $2,000. She get no money. She don't get no bag. She has this horrible ruined reputation over some dick. Like you're gonna ruin your whole reputation over some dick, over some sex. Like no, it's not worth it. It's just best to me. What she should have did, she should have just married her baby father. They would have had a 2-parent home. She would have been secure, providing for it, and that would have been the best results to me. So.
Unfortunately, that calls for accountability that some people don't have.
For sure, I agree. I totally agree. People need to take accountability, and we need to do better for like the next generation. And I think that I forgot what I was gonna say, honestly. But go ahead. Anybody else got anything? Because
Yeah.
we're gonna close the top down in a minute.
I want to say statistically, actually, it's bisexual women who tend to sleep around the most and to be the most like the least faithful. It's not. They'll get mad. It's a stereotype. It's biphobia. But it's not. It actually is statistically. They are much more likely, and straight women are much more likely to be more traditional. So it's a lot harder to start trying to convince women on that end of the spectrum who are already going to be naturally more like that than it is the other women. It's much easier to start there and then work your way through because they're already going to be more. It's going to be more natural, and then it kind of you work your way out to the women who are least. Because you could be just like wasting your time sometimes. If you're starting from a certain group of women that they just might be more promiscuous naturally. You understand what I'm saying?
It's just harmful for women, Yeah, there's some women that are going to choose. That's fine. You just got to accept the consequences of your actions, right? But I do think that women who do want to have families and do want to have, I do think that we need to be real and really say what. I just want more better guidance for women because all these women that, like I was saying about how. Hold on a second. But like I was saying
Yeah,
about
go
all these
on.
women doing this for the women that are trying to hold the women accountable, they have an all male audience. They're just trying to get money off the men. Honestly, are they really trying to do this to help?
To some extent, I don't like that's kind of a narrative. I feel other women push out. Be careful. Like yes, it is disproportionately men, but I wouldn't say it's all men. I wouldn't say it's all men.
Women. I don't know. Do you think it's helping women that they're doing that? I don't know. I really don't know because it's like most women don't even watch them. So if they're not even watching,
women are the ones going on the show.
I'm talking about the women. Like, yeah, you're right. So maybe it does help make an impact. If it's helped making an impact, then that's good. That's good. But I do want to talk about Wait, what'd you say? Go ahead.
No, I just find there's like a dirty narrative which the bitter woman will put like, oh, they're just trying to rip them off for money. Oh, it's just to get a bag. But a lot of that is that's like just like I don't know strategy that's meant to make the men feel like to not trust that woman and to kind of cause them to fall out. I don't know how much truth. Of course, there's some truth to it, but I don't know how much truth there is. Just gotta be careful because there might be intentions behind people who say that.
No, from a woman perspective, it just do look like they're trying to pander to men more than they are trying to help women.
Well, it is their audience, yeah. That is their audience.
More of their audience, so they're gonna like say whatever they want. Like they're gonna pander more to men, and then not really. I don't know. They're just repeating what men have saying, basically. You know what I'm saying? So it's like.
But I don't think it's just men. I think if you go to more traditional heteronormative women, you're going to get something similar. Like if I especially go to the right and talk to like the women who are more married, you're going to get somewhat of a similar.
None of them are married though. That's the thing too. None of these are. We don't. Jessica X not married. Pearly Things not married. Crimson Cure. None of these women are married. So it's like, why would you take advice from a woman who's not married?
There's a bitterness there.
So I also wanted to say something in addition to that, by the way, Magic.
I'm just saying, like, I don't like that these women. Okay, I'm talking about accountability for women. I just don't like that there's always women trying to lead other women astray. And it makes me mad. And I'm just like, I don't really know, like, especially a lot of older women, it's like they don't really care about like the younger generation. I really do feel like they're trying to pander to men and not really trying to like really lead women into success. And it kind of makes me mad. It does make me mad. It really does. And it's like, I do want women to have marriages and have families, and I do want that. I do want that for women, but the way people are going about it, I think it's just discouraging a lot of women. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I know. Hello, thank you, Mulattoes Movement. I thank you. Join us in the Blue Vein Society. We can have financial gain. Okay, yeah, but I do want that for women, and it hurts to see like women like Brittany Renner, like this is what she was promoting to women, and then it just all blew up in her face. And it's like that's what we mostly have in society nowadays, right? Isn't that like the majority of women nowadays? Mostly, I don't know about most men. Most people are not getting married. We don't live in a marriage society anymore. We live in like and I do want to reject all of that. I don't like it. I don't think it's healthy.
So it also like a magic though. It also kind of goes back in regards to my culture argument, because nowadays you actually still have like a culture that revolves around narcissism and self-aggrandizement. So
Exactly.
again, it all boils down to us playing that central role and just changing the culture, and actually now having a zero tolerance policy for that kind of like self-aggrandizing narcissistic behavior, because of those foul elements that are just deeply kind of like entrenched in our culture. That's why you see all these people who are just willing to gain any kind of level of clout off of the most ridiculous and the most outlandish things, whether that is like a promiscuous single woman giving advice to like an innocent woman, or maybe like a woman who actually has that potential for like a healthy, fruitful marriage.
Right. I do like. Look, I like what you're saying about following married couple lifestyles. I like that a lot. I think that's the best thing to do. Like follow women who are actually married, and they will. I like that. I think that's the best thing to do, because honestly, with the whole like manosphere thing, they're discouraging marriages as well because of like the court system. I totally get where they're coming from, like the court system being against the men, and like the whole divorce, people taking all their money and taking. I get it. I totally get that. And I think that, there is a disadvantage for men there. But at the same time, like if us as a community, if we want to like actually we need families, right? We need families. And that's
Exactly though. And also like, I'm pretty sure everybody here, or at least somebody here, is familiar with Elliot Hulse. And this one quote that I follow him on my Instagram though. And hey, he's pretty much one of us. But what I'll actually say about Hulse is that he said this, is that as a man, you're sexually attracted to a woman because you intend to marry and have children with her.
Yes.
That should actually be the attitude that us men need to adopt. And then he also said in another video though, is that, hey, why are you with this girl? Do you guys plan to move in together? Do you plan to settle with this girl? Do you plan to spend the rest of your life with her? That's ultimately the mindset I have, and I hope that everyone else in here could have the same, because hey, it's all about uplifting our own and striving for the best in terms of like our own. And that's just going to be actually conducive to just have happiness and a healthy collective group.
Absolutely.
The problem is, no matter what, can I say something? No matter what direction we go in, there's always going to be a minority in anything that's not going to fit in. Okay. And one of the mistakes we've done with society, instead of just kind of like accounting for that more minority, we tend to try to change the whole system in a way that now it's for that minority, but now everybody else sucks for everybody else, kind of thing. We tend to do a little too much.
True though, because it boils down to of course, because because it definitely still boils down to human nature though, because the human condition, what is it? It's very flawed. So of course that's gonna like definitely like be a thing. But if we can actually get to that level, we will definitely see a lot of major improvements, and things will be looking a lot better than they do now.
Absolutely. And I'm just thinking, us as men, women, like we're always being influenced by something, right? I think that's the biggest power is influence, right? So people are always trying to influence in this direction, that direction, and it's it's like we need to really be strong about who we're letting influence us, and we got to look at the results. It's always not about, because things may sound good, they may sound, oh yeah, but you got to just look at the end results of everything. If these results are not healthy or beneficial to us, then it's like we can't accept it. It may sound good, but it's like we just got to make sure that the end results are in our favor. Especially as women, a lot of people want to influence women to do this, like the whole sexual liberation. Go out and have, that was horrible. If you took 2 seconds to think about the results, it would have been like, no, immediately, right? So we just gotta think results minded. What are the results? What are the outcomes of our actions when it comes to these behaviors, or what you're asking me to do, or what you think is best? So that's all.
I think what it takes is, first of all, the individual needs to be healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, and what have you, in order to properly discern what is actually beneficial and what's actually harmful. Okay, when you're not sound mentally or spiritually or what have you, you will become easy prey to those who will espouse different philosophies that's not going to be beneficial to you. So you have to be well aware who you are, and you have to have a healthy mindset. With that, you'll be able to discern what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Absolutely. We gotta be so discerning here. We have to be, because on all fronts, we got somebody trying to tell us how we should be, and we gotta really be super discerning. We gotta know what we want. We want to have families. We want to have community. We want to have this, and we gotta reject anybody trying to tell us otherwise, or anything trying to tell us against that. So that's what all I'm saying. I'm gonna cam up for y'all real fast because I was trying to look cute for y'all. This is my last stream, 2023. So I got this dress last year for Christmas. I never wore it until right now. So I'm just trying to cam up for y'all, look cute, say hey. Because I'm gonna close out. And anybody last thoughts? I just wanted to say hi to everybody. And I love y'all so much. 2022 has been an amazing year. I think we're heading in the right direction. 2023, I'm focusing on the topics, F all the petty bullshit and nonsense and who's fighting with who's talking shit about who's doing this. I'm not with that 2023. Baby. I'm gonna come on here because I can't give up on this community, honestly. I feel like this community is so important. My family is all mulatto, biracial people. I can't give up on this community. You know what I'm saying? I have to stay strong, even though there's a lot of things. Oh, thank you. But thank you. But I do think there's a lot of things we need to work out. There's a lot of issues we need to address within ourselves that we need to keep moving forward. And I'm really grateful, happy to be part of this community. And y'all can say whatever you want about me. Y'all can talk your shit. I don't care. I'm just here to try to uplift our voices and for us to have a voice and to speak on things and not have everybody speak for us all the time. That's the most important thing to me. And I'm going to keep going hard for this community. I have my ups and downs here too. And I'm grateful for all you guys. You guys have been so supportive of me. I'm really thankful and grateful. And I just don't want to give up on us. I just want to make sure that, we're just keep progressing, keep evolving, and keep growing. And yeah, that's it. Anybody have any last thoughts? Because I'm about to 2023 gonna be popping. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be amazing. So
like I actually tried to turn my camera on, but it doesn't look like I can since 2 other people in here have done so. But hey, everyone's looking cool tonight.
Thank you. This is my little Christmas party. Happy Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope everybody
likewise.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's not kicking in for me for some reason. I don't seem to be recognizing, hey, it's Christmas time. It's like that close.
I know. It really don't feel Christmassy. It's almost Christmas. I got my Christmas tree, all my presents wrapped, but it don't really feel too Christmassy for some reason. I don't know. But it's all good.
Well, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be doing a special Christmas message on my platform. Just, wishing a very happy Merry Christmas to all the members of the Uncommon Folk. And I really appreciate all the love that all of you have done for my channel. I try to provide interesting topics that we can all discuss, and we can disagree as long as we are respectable when we disagree, because sometimes it is through disagreements we can learn from each other.
Absolutely. I agree with you, and I'm thankful for you guys for being on the panel. I know you guys, we've all had our issues. I'm squashing with everybody, okay? I'm squashing it. I'm moving forward, 2023, baby. I'm gonna be in a positive mindset. I'm gonna keep it pushing. I ain't got no beef with nobody. I ain't beefing with nobody. I'm gonna keep it moving, and that's it. That's my mindset. I'm gonna worry about my channel. I'm gonna support other people's channels. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see this. I think that I'm gonna speak more life into this space. We're gonna keep growing. We're gonna keep building. We're gonna keep expanding. We're gonna keep it up. We're gonna keep building this culture, this community that we want to see flourish. So that's all I'm saying. I'm here for it. I'm not gonna give up. I have my lows where I'm just like, is this even worth it? But somebody's always there to pick me up. And that's what we need. Somebody's always there to like pick me up and be like, yes, let's keep going. So I'm very grateful. Like that's the meaning of a community, that somebody's there to pick you up when you're feeling down, and I'm grateful for it. Like, you guys have changed my life so much in the best way possible. So I'm gonna keep moving forward and keep it pushing. So yeah, anybody got any last final thoughts? I'm about to close this out. Call it a day. Last stream in 2022. It's been fun. It's really been fun. 2023, we're going hard, but yeah, last stream. So anybody any last final thoughts?
No, I'm good. I'm just gonna keep on giving her pretty much the way I have been, just kind of going hard, keep building my channel, keep building my team, and I have a good feeling about this next year. I think we're gonna really take off.
Me
now.
too. I got a good feeling. So me too, and I'm really happy. I'm gonna be in good spirits. Hold on, let me let Georgia up. Let me see what he got going on. Oh, that's James. James, you got any final thoughts? Sorry.
I'm gonna step down, guys.
James, I'm about to close the stream out. You got any final messages to the community or anything? James.
Yes.
What you got to say, James?
Hello guys.
Hello.
Hello, James.
What you got to say, James? I'm about to close it out.
Miss Power.
Mixed power. All right. All right, y'all. It's been fun. It was a
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. You guys have a great Christmas. Bye, guys.
Bye. Good
Love all
night.
y'all.
Take care. Be
Bye,
safe.
guys. Love all y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, let's go. New year, new me, turn it up a new degree. I'm gonna make it to the top if it's the last thing I see. Work hard every day, work hard, then we play. I'll be doing everything in my own damn way. Ain't nobody tell me shit, I'm on top of it. Writing hits that make other people feel like writing hits. We gon' get every little goal that we wanna get. Never quit, we don't even know what it means to quit. Write it down, what you want, what you need, what you see. Everything that you wanna be. Put it out in the world, that's your destiny. In your mind, what you need is to have believe. I'm gon' make it to the top, cause I never stop. My own switch doesn't have enough. I think it's broken, I think it's lost. I guess that's why I never take a loss. New year, new me, no fear, just be everything you wanna be. Write it down, what you see, don't give up, just believe and you will succeed. Put the hours in, and you're bound to win. New year, new me, no fear, just be everything you wanna be. Write it down, what you see, don't give up, just believe and you will succeed. Put the hours in, and you're bound to win. Make a deal with yourself that you'll get after it. Find something that you love, call it passionate. Or find some passion and leaving behind adequate. Your journey starts now, time to make it happen then. You could be great, have it your way. Served up like some room service on a nice plate. The high life is only hours a day away from making a change to the life that you chase. New year, new you, new day. Go prove to yourself you could do anything you wanna do. When you set your mind to something big that you choose, break it down to the root, chip away, gotta move. Push past all your limitations. Right now consider this an invitation. Make your worth go up like inflation, and start chasing your dreams, stop waiting. New year, new me, no fear, just be everything you wanna be. Write it down, what you see, don't give up, just believe in you.